Broady, it's bonus pod time.
It is. There's been a lot of talking points in the Ashes already. I must admit, that is one of my favourite things about Ashes cricket is the debate. You can grab a coffee, a beer with friends and just talk about Ashes cricket for hours. And there's so many different opinions and styles of the debate. But there's a lot going on.
There is something that always happens as well, as you very well know, is the Australian media and the papers get stuck in from the start. Ben Stokes has landed in Perth, and the headline in the Western Australian on Tuesday was Bazball, spelt B-A-W-L, with a picture of Stokes in the arrivals at Perth Airport, with the subheading of England's cocky captain complainer, still smarting from Creasegate, lands in Perth early, thinking dopey Bazball can take the Ashes. What do you make of that?
England's cocky captain complainer. I mean, they're 50% right with that because he's England's captain, tick.
Cocky you going for?
Don't think he's cocky, and I'm not sure he's a complainer. But they're 50% right, so I think that's pretty good.
That's enough, isn't it?
It'll
for
do.
the media?
I think ultimately, when we talk about the debate of Ashes cricket, this is part of it. You know, the excitement, the front page headlines. You know, Stokes, just landed in Perth, walking through an airport with his golf clubs and his cricket bag, I hope. And they can create a story out of that. I mean, there's not many sports where someone just walking through an airport on his own is front page news. But yeah, Creasegate refers to Bairstow being run out at Lord's by Alex Carey in 2023. I assume it must go into that a bit more. But, you know, I think this Ashes particularly has been... People have so many different opinions. There's reasons for that because people have got news outlets, podcasts or TV, and there's cricket going on, so people are being asked about that sort of stuff. But I think because it's so open, yes, Australia are favourites. They should win in Australia. You should win your home series generally. But we've got a chance. And that's what's bringing brilliant debate.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more with that. I think, as we've all said, England's best chance. I think you've been well mentioned in various news outlets about your opinion of the Australian cricket team for this particular Ashes series compared to where they've been at in previous Ashes series.
Still stand by it.
Still stand by it. Good man. How should an England team, manage the media furore that the Australian press, because they really get behind their own team and try and make it as hard as possible for the opposition.
And it's a great strength of theirs, brilliant strength of theirs. When you tour Australia, you're not playing against 11 cricketers, you're playing against the whole country. And that's why anyone that tours Australia will go, cool, it's quite a hard tour. Not many English cricketers will say it's their favourite tour. A lot would lean, that's a Q&A question all the time, isn't it? What's your favourite tour? South Africa, West Indies, a lot of different, New Zealand, which you could probably vouch for in recent times. Not many say Australia because of everything that comes with it. You get off a plane just flying from Perth to Brisbane, and there's news cameras in your face with big lights and microphones. It's just quite intense. There's a brilliance to that as well. It's awesome. It's special. It's different. That feeling when you put a shirt on, it says Ashes under the England badge is magical. But you do have to deal with these types of instances. Ultimately, the Australian players having to deal with being asked about my comment about them being the worst side since 2010, playing in Australia in an Ashes series, which has been lost in context a little bit. But Stokesy will have to deal with it. I've seen a message from him with, I think, 18 or 20 laughing faces underneath that headlines, which so feels like he's quite relaxed at the minute.
He's taking English spirit.
But the article carried on, makes us chuckle. It's a Kiwi-born Ben Stokes, the king of England's self-proclaimed reinvention of cricket, dubbed Bazball, has sauntered into Perth, confident the crazed brand of carefree and careless thrash batting, untested in Australia, will reclaim the Ashes.
Must be quite good fun trying to write it, isn't it?
Right.
We've got months until the England team arrive. What angles can we go at? You actually read that really well as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was well done.
I really enjoyed it, actually. It's a lot easier reading not about yourself. When I was getting nailed in 2013 in breakfast reading them.
How did you find that, though? How did you
I knew it was
approach
coming.
that?
I knew it was coming. So Darren Lehman at the time, Australian head coach, had called for Australia to send me home crying. So they were always going to buy into it. So I did train for it with a psychologist about building a shield around me, listening to things. You can't hide away from it. So, except like almost like laughing it off in a sense, but trying to find a reason for it. I read Sir Alex Ferguson's book about, and he had a great chapter in it where sort of Patrick Vieira would come to Old Trafford, and the Man United fans would abuse him and nail him, and Ferguson saw that as a sign of respect, because if you're a player that no one cares about or no one's worried about, you just get ignored. Whereas if you get booed or you get sort of aggressive press or whatever, it means you're a slight threat. That's the positive. You know, we always find the positive. That was a positive slant I tried to take. But you know, there were T-shirts everywhere. Stuart Broad's a shit bloke, stubby holders, and you know, people were. I ran down to the fine leg. It was really aggressive. But because I had done a bit of training, I quite enjoyed it. I mean, don't get me wrong, the boos at the Gabba, 45,000 people, when my name got announced bowling from the pavilion end or whatever, I was like, whoa, that's unbelievable. And I couldn't really feel my body running into bowl that first ball. But once the first ball was gone, I was fine. And Stokesy, you know, Stokesy's a hardened 34-year-old, been through the lot, you know. So he'll be very ready, and he'll be smiling at the minute.
Yeah, I think you made a really good point there about when the media or the opposition fans and go after a certain player or a team, is that respect and almost a bit of worry about the competition. And that's what I kind of, you know, we've all been talking about the Ashes for so long now and saying it's England's best chance in a long time. And that sort of little worry or seed of doubt that, do you know what, this is probably England's best chance for a bit, and we should be favourites and we should win in Australia. But you kind of, reading that, you can sense there's a bit of respect for this is a good England team that's coming, and a bit of nervousness for
their style.
You know what, they actually, this is going to be tough.
And you know, a point that's not been talked about much, but I actually think is a really valid one, is the first Test match is at the Optus Stadium in Perth. It's always been at the Gabba. The Gabba's like a stronghold. England got a result in 86-87. Went on to win the series. England got a result in 2010-11, went on to win the series. Australia just batter England at the Gabba every time. Remember, you're getting those sort of 8-seaters in the morning to go to the game, and like you drive down that long road towards the Gabba, and it's just people wearing KFC bucket hats, as you know, on their heads, and big green and yellow wigs, and watermelons cut out just so you can see their eyes, and you're like, whoa, okay, we're going into a cauldron here. We're going into a battle. So I think that was a really big advantage to Australia. I'm not saying the Optus Stadium in Perth won't be a big advantage to Australia, but it's different. And I don't know the reasons why Australia aren't playing at the Gabba. Yes, I know India beat them there and the West Indies beat them there, but England haven't. And it is a pretty ferocious place to play.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much to talk about, and obviously we've still got a few weeks of building it all up, which is exciting.
Give me the squad. Let me reflect on my comments.
Going to say, Australia have announced the 50-man squad for the first test in Perth, and here it is. Steve Smith, captain; Sean Abbott, Scott Boland, Alex Carey, Brendan Doggett, Cameron Green, Josh Hazlewood, Travis Head, Josh Inglis, Usman Khawaja, Marnus Labuschagne, Nathan Lyon, Mitchell Stark, Jake Weatherald, and Bo Webster. As you mentioned, no one at all picked up on your line on the podcast saying it's the worst Australian team since 2010. Do you want to
playing against England in Australia?
Yeah, but we don't get bored of that. We like the headline. But yeah, what do you make of the squad? Obviously, it's getting closer now. Australia have named their squad. That's exciting. What do you make of it? I suppose Jake Weatherald is a standout name there for the opening slot.
Could open the batting. You've got three potential debutants: Sean Abbott, Weatherald, Doggett. Steve Smith, captain. He's got a phenomenal record as captain. He seems to sort of grow under that pressure and additional, almost like his brain needs to do more, switches him on a bit more. So he that's an advantage to Australia in a sense, that it brings the best out of him. Although they'll miss Pat Cummins, the bowler, without a doubt. He's an absolute gun of a bowler. He knows where Joe Root's surfboards are. So, Rooty will be absolutely thrilled. Pat Cummins is not playing at Perth. Absolutely thrilled, because he's just difficult to line up, isn't he? He's a phenomenal bowler. So that's a big help for England. But 15-man squad feels large for a first Test match squad to name in your home country. But remembering it's in Perth, you made that point to me earlier that it's a long flight from everywhere, so you can't just sort of nip down the M1 for a 2-hour drive and get there. So that's why they've probably got a bigger training squad. But it looks like bowling attack will be Stark, Lyon, Hazelwood, Boland, incredible bowling attack, isn't it? Yes, on the experienced side, slightly older side, but that's the likes of Jimmy Anderson, etc. have all played till big ages. That's not a problem. They got Nathan Lyon, who just holds up an end, and I think that's going to be such a fascinating about how England go about Nathan Lyon. They played him so badly in Australia. Generally, just picks up wickets at crucial times. I think England are going to absolutely fly at him, try and fly at him. Someone like Harry Brook will try and take him downtown. But Lyon is so experienced. What's he got, like 550 Test wickets? That is going to be such a brilliant, brilliant battle to watch, and crucial to the series. But yeah, Weatherald, great record. I'm just looking at his record here. Is I think he's averaging over 50 in the Sheffield Shield, opening the batting for Tasmania. So he's obviously a pretty good player. No Constas, no surprise there. Averages 16 in 10 Test innings. So they've gone with a bit more run scoring ability, but I still think they might be thinking Labuschagne opening, Cam Green 3,
all-rounders,
Webster 6, because you'd argue that Green and Webster both deserve to play, but trying to fit 2 all-rounders into a top 6 is tricky.
Yeah, I suppose fitness will come into that. I think Green's had a side strain, hasn't he? I think Bo Webster's back playing and bowling, but had limited overs or something. So
no Mitch Marsh, which I don't think anyone was expecting Mitch Marsh, particularly not Mitch Marsh, but his media interviews have been world class over the last month. I feel like if we can clip them up and post them, are you hoping to be in the Ashes squad? Well, I've got tickets for day 1, day 2. Mr. doesn't know yet, but I'm going to have a few bits. I reckon he's one of my favourite.
He's been smacking it, hasn't he? So
yeah, he's been whacking.
He'd be the kind of player, as a England bowler and a team, you'd worry about.
Horrific to bowl at. Yeah. Horrific. That 100 he got at Leeds. I mean, Ollie Robinson had a back spasm, so he walked off. So we're a bowler down, and we had him on the ropes a bit, and he just came out and thumped it. Yeah. He bowled 5th stump, he cut you through point. Bowled slightly back of a length, he pulled you over midway. You can't bowl a short ball at him. He's one of the quickest onto a short ball. Hits it so powerfully. Wokesy's was the guy I was like, come on, Wiz, get him out, please.
Be the man.
Because I just seem to find the middle of his bat. I just can't bowl at him. But I don't need to anymore, I suppose. But
it's not your problem.
Not my problem.
Jake Weatherald, left-hander. Just thinking Jofra seems to be an excellent bowler at left-handed batters. So 2 left-handers opening the batting for Australia, potentially against Jofra's record, I think, is quite markedly better against lefties.
He's a way better bowler than Jofra.
Would that play on their mind, selection, in terms of if you went Labuschagne Green, for worrying about playing a left-hander, or would you just go you pick whoever you think's the best?
Pick who's the best. I mean, Labuschagne's got to play. We've been saying it on the pod for a while. I mean, how good he is. He'll come back to his best. His record for Queensland's been ridiculous. He just deserves to play now. He said he doesn't care where he bats. I know he'd probably prefer to bat 3. Yeah. But Weatherald, anytime you're making a Test debut in Ashes cricket is going to be quite an overwhelming experience anyway. That first morning of any Ashes series is just, the emotions are outrageous, aren't they? I was not a cramper in my bowling career. You can cramp through anxiety, you can cramp through hydration. I cramped, I think, maybe 5 times, and 3 of them were first days of Ashes series. Really? So it just shows the emotion that comes with it. And yeah, Test debut with Jofra Archer with a brand new ball in his hand, a bit of spice in the pitch could be pretty tasty. But test. Yeah, there's doubts over that top 3. There's still question marks. No one knows what's coming, and I don't think the squad's really told us anything more. But they're all good players.
Okay, that's it, Broady. Look out for another Ashes special with Jonathan Trott next week.
Yeah, keep an eye on the socials and kick 'em well.